everybody, it's Ryan Metzler here, and today, rather than a board game review, I'm actually going to take you through a review of a location. That location is the Ravenwood Castle, where I had the chance to stay for my Origins 2014 stay, or my day before my Origins 2014 stay. So I'm going to show you what Ravenwood Castle is like. I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can do there, where you can stay, what the accommodations are like, and then I'm also going to talk a little bit about gaming there. But real quick, why don't we just jump right into it and see what Ravenwood Castle has to offer. So here we are at Ravenwood Castle, where I stayed for my Origins 2014 trip the day before I went to Origins. You can see it looks like a castle, and on the outside there's actually a little bit of a gaming connection. You can see they have this large chessboard, which was being played day and night while I was there, with lots of guests taking advantage of it. When you walk into the castle, you can see we have a drawbridge followed by this nice huge medieval doors, and on the right hand side you have a knight who's guarding the entrance for you, making sure that you're safe. You open up these heavy wooden doors and you step into the entryway, which leads, of course, into more of the castle. On the left and right hand sides of this entryway are stairways which lead up to the guest rooms where you can stay inside of the castle, and they have various different themes. Further in, you can see that there's the dining room with a large fireplace and then this nice mural on the back wall with large tables available for people to eat at various different meals. In the far corner, there's also a piano that you can play if you would like. Here are my accommodations for the stay. This is the Duke's Dungeon Room, which is on the lower level of the castle, thus dungeon. You can see that there's a chess or checkerboard, a nice bed, which actually has the frame made out of a pillory, very thematic, and we have very nice accommodations with access to light and a patio that you can step out to if you would like. While the accommodations of the Duke's Dungeon were excellent, if you're looking for something a bit fancier, you can always go to the King Arthur Suite, which has its own kind of lounging area, which you can see here with the chessboard, a pull-out sofa, several different seating arrangements, and a great atmosphere that you can kind of sit around and talk in. And when you proceed up the stairs, you can see that there's this awesome room at the top with the King's mural, a mural of the story of King Arthur. There's a cabinet for storing games, and there are games in there if you'd like to see them, in this 4 posters bed where you can lay down and have a great rest that you might very well need. Stepping out onto the balcony, you can see that there is this excellent view of the countryside. You have all of these trees around you, great nature scene, and at the bottom you actually have a maze, a hedge maze, very thematic and a nice touch to the whole castle feel out there at Ravenwood Castle. A third option for you to be in would be Rapunzel's Tower, and you can see here, it's very much like the other rooms, but each of them has their own touch of class. This one has a nice stained glass window above the bed, giving you a feel of the story of Rapunzel. In the basement, back down by where my room, the Duke's Dungeon, was, is the Raven's Rest pub, where you can get a nice refreshing drink or some wine and perhaps play a board game. You may have seen crokinole sitting on the table earlier in this shot. Next to that is a library with access to tons of books that you can check out and use for free. Also has some nice gaming space where I was lucky to play a few games of Magic the Gathering with the innkeeper for the hotel that night. In the hotel's office, you can see they have a large collection of games, answering your question as to why we're showing off Ravenwood Castle in this video. You have access to their entire library, and you also have access to being able to buy games from their store as well. They have in their office access to many different types of games, Pathfinder, the card game. You'll also see that they have games like Lords of Waterdeep, Game of Thrones, and Ascension, Forbidden Island, so some co-ops, and your basics of Ticket to Ride and stuff like that. So they have a wide variety of games accessible for you to check out and to buy if you find that you like them. If you don't want to stay inside of the hotel, you do have options for a little bit more seclusion. You can move out to the medieval village cottages, and that's a shot here of the path leading down to those cottages so that you kind of have a little bit of removal, a little bit of extra space for you and whoever you may be staying with, nestled up against the woods. Of these cottages, there are several, and here we're looking at the clock tower. This is one that I did not enter, but you can see from the outside it has a tower at the top of the cottage. But we did go into some of the other cottages, and this is the silversmith's house. It's its own separate unit, and when you go inside, you'll see that you have all of the accommodations that you're going to need. Entering into the cottage, you can see that there is a kind of lounging area with a microwave and a kitchen. You also have a futon that pulls out and can be used for sleeping, some tables, a nice fireplace, and of course your television. When you proceed upstairs, you see that there's a bedroom decked out in silver, and I'm guessing for the thematic silversmith's house. Everything fits well to the theme, has a great air, great quality about it, and just everything goes together with what you're hoping to get from the experience of having your own cottage, having your own space, and having that match to a fairy tale theme. In addition, you also get a nice love heart-shaped jacuzzi. Now, when you enter into one of the other cottages, this is the woodcutter's cottage, you get a little bit of a different feel, but still an excellent air of quality on a nice fairy tale theme. This is the, as I said, woodcutter's cottage with a bedpost and a headboard made of wood. You can see that everything is kind of homey and earthen, and you have, of course, a jacuzzi again, if you would like to have a little bit of relaxation. Nested up behind the woodcutter's cottage is directly some of the nature that you can go about and explore, and there's this nice scene of trees behind you to give you that woodcutter, homey, earthy feel. If the cabins are still too close to the other guests for you, you can move out even further to the Huntsman's Hollow cabins, which are just down the road from the main castle. When you enter into these, they're their own secluded units as well, and they have all of the accommodations that you've seen in the other areas, but are a little bit further removed from the comfort of the castle, and do have places for storing food and such if you would like to use them. They also have their own bedrooms, and in addition, not shown here, will each have a loft that you can stay in. And there you have it. That is the Ravenwood Castle. While I was there, I had a great time. I was only there for one night. I would like to make an extended stay at some point, but the owners were nice enough to have me out, let me stay a night and see what the castle's about, talk a little bit about some conventions they run. They have one that's a con in the castle, and they have one called Hoop and Stick Con that they run in their dining room area, as well as, of course, with the bar and all of the games. So you have the option to use their library or bring games if you would like and learn new games. And the innkeepers there are also versed in games and will help you play. While I was there, I got to play a couple games of Magic with their innkeeper slash games guru Carrington, who was very nice and accommodating. I had a couple of drinks and had a great time in my room, and everything was excellent. So again, thank you to Ravenwood Castle for having me out. If it sounds interesting to you, check it out at their webpage or go online and Google them. I'm sure they'd be happy to have you stay, and I'm sure you'd have a great time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.